They kicked her books across the hall. She made them pick them up with their teeth. Her books hit the floor like thunder. Pages scattered, her glasses flew off. The hallway echoed with the cruel laughter of teenage boys high on power and pack mentality. One of them snorted, another mimicked a pig's squeal, and a third booted her notebook so far it slammed into a locker down the hall. Amelia just stood there, frozen, humiliated, helpless. For a brief second, she felt the tears rising. But then she swallowed hard and bent down, trembling hands reaching for the fragments of her pride. That's when the leader of the group, Josh Reynolds, quarterback and self-proclaimed king of the school, leaned in and whispered the words that would change her life forever. "You Dante belong here. Tigi, crawl out, or we'll help. Hey, if you believe kindness matters, if you believe everyone deserves a second chance even, someone who's been hurt, bullied, or broken, please take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to Storystorm and comment below with your thoughts. Let's show the world that empathy still lives in us. Your one click might inspire someone else to stand up for what's right." The hall cleared quickly after the first bell rang, leaving Amelia alone with her scattered things and a bruise blooming on her elbow. She wasn't new to this treatment, not really. It had been happening ever since she transferred to Westridge High halfway through the semester, but today felt different. It wasn't just the violence or the name-calling, it was the stares. The students who watched and did nothing, the teachers who turned away, the hallway surveillance camera that blinked indifferently. This school was a silent battlefield and she was just another invisible casualty. Amelia was brilliant. Not in a loud, boastful way, but in the kind of quiet genius that solves puzzles nobody else sees. Her clothes were plain. Her hair was usually tied back with a pencil, because she always forgot hairbands. Her voice was soft, and her eyes held stories of things she rarely told. She'd been raised by her grandmother in a one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Books had been her sanctuary, math and physics, her armor. But none of that could shield her from high school cruelty. In a world where image was everything, she was a ghost among influencers, jocks, and drama queens. But what nobody knew not, even the bullies, was that Amelia had a fire in her that had been quietly building since she was 6. The day her parents died in a fire caused by a faulty space heater, Amelia learned what it meant to lose everything and what it meant to rebuild. Her grandma taught her that dignity doesn't come from others. It comes from holding your head high, even when the world kicks you to the ground. That day, as she picked up her bent ruler and crumpled papers, her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "They don't get to decide who you are, sweet pea." "You do." That evening, Amelia didn't cry. She sat at her tiny desk under the flickering ceiling bulb and opened her laptop. She searched for local martial arts studios. For weeks, she saved her lunch money. She lied to her grandmother, saying she was in study group. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after school, she took the long walk to a dusty, underfunded dojo run by a retired war vet named Master Chen. She didn't tell him she was being bullied. She didn't need to. He saw it in her posture, in the way her hands shook, in the way she flinched whenever someone got too close. He never pried, simply trained her. 3 months passed. She learned balance, control, and more than anything, she learned restraint. Her confidence grew like roots beneath the surface. She began to walk taller. When Josh or his gang sneered, she no longer shrank away. That unsettled them. Bullies feed on fear, and Amelia was starving them. She still got tripped in hallways, still found gum in her locker, still had to wipe insults off her desk. But her silence was no longer weakness. It was warning. It wasn't until the annual science fair that everything changed. Amelia had poured her soul into her project, a solar-powered desalination unit that could purify drinking water using nothing more than sunlight and salt water. Her idea could change lives. But Josh didn't like that. He didn't like how the principal was praising her. He didn't like that she might win. So, the night before the fair, he and his crew snuck into the gym and destroyed it, smashed it to pieces, poured soda on the wiring, tore her presentation posters apart. The next morning, Amelia found her table empty. No one even needed to tell her what had happened. She walked home that day numb. She didn't speak during dinner. Didn't speak when her grandmother asked what was wrong. But that night she didn't sleep. She sat on the floor and rebuilt what she could. The next morning, she returned not with a working model, but with photographs, calculations, and a voice that trembled as she presented it anyway. She didn't win. But that wasn't the point anymore. That day she stopped waiting to be seen. She made herself visible. And then came the final straw. Away. Incident, the one that made everything boil over. It started like before. Josh kicked her books. His friends howled with laughter. One of them tried to trip her. But this time she didn't bend down. She didn't run away. She stood still, straight, calm then. With a tone so steady it chilled the air, she said, "Pick them up." Josh blinked, thrown off. "What did you say, Piggy?" He grinned. His friend stepped forward like they were about to shove her again, but in a blur, Amelia moved. The friend landed on the floor with a dull thud. Wind knocked out of him. Everyone froze. "I said pick them up," she repeated. Josh lunged, but he didn't get far. Amelia pivoted, dodged, and with a swift sidekick that looked effortless, sent his bag flying. He fell to one knee, stunned. He scrambled up again, furious, but she was already behind him. She swept his legs, crashed. Silence. A teacher rushed out of a classroom, just as Josh's lips brushed the edge of her textbook on the ground. The crowd gasped. Phones were out. The camera blinked again, but this time it captured justice. Suspension followed, but not for Amelia. The hallway footage told the truth. For once, so did the teachers. The school board held a meeting. The boys were disciplined. Some were transferred. Josh's scholarship was put on hold pending counseling. Amelia didn't celebrate. She just walked home, where her grandmother waited, holding a cup of tea and smiling like she already knew. Word spread quickly. Students who had once avoided Amelia started nodding at her in the halls. A few even apologized. She didn't need their friendship, but it felt good to be seen as something other than prey. Her science teacher nominated her for a statewide competition. Master Chen gave her her first black belt stripe. And Josh? He returned a month later, quieter, humbler, and with eyes that didn't rise to meet hers. Amelia didn't seek revenge. She had already won. Not because she hurt anyone, but because she made them see her. She turned fear into strength and silence into power. And for the first time, she believed in the worth of her own voice. If this story touched your heart even just a little, please like, share, and comment your thoughts. Subscribe to Storystorm to support more powerful stories like this one. Your engagement helps us tell more stories of courage, healing, and transformation. Let's stand together for those who can't always stand for themselves. Special request. Comment below, what would you have done if you saw someone like Amelia being bullied? Would you step in, speak up, or stand beside them? Let's have a real conversation in the comments.